So, what is going on in the world? Are people actually seeing how bad things are? We've now got the Iran war, which I personally don't agree with. I'm sure people have got different views on this, but the fact that Trump actually campaigned continuously over a 10-year period, first administration, then the gap in between with Biden, then his second campaign, one of the big things was no more wars in the Middle East, no more wars anywhere. Actually, a lot of his campaign was about ending wars, ending the war between Israel and Gaza, ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. And here we are in a war with Iran. And although we can think, well, this doesn't really affect us, all of the experts are saying it is going to affect us because the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and this is going to affect oil prices, utility prices, the food chain, fertilisers, farming, and that we are going to see a knock-on effect of this. And the experts are saying, not the war hawks, not the warmongers that want this, the rational people that are just looking at it from an economic point of view, even if it ended today, which there's no signs of that, we're going to feel the backlash of this in terms of fuel prices, heating our homes, and possibly food shortages. Now, how much of this will actually impact Europe, Britain, America? I don't know. Apparently it is going to. It's already affecting airlines. One airline has already gone completely bust in America, closed down, can't operate anymore. There's talk of other airlines in serious trouble, so it's going to affect travel, tourism, economy in that sense. But apparently it could cause a lot of problems in third world countries in terms of food supply and starvation. Now, I'm not an expert in these things, but really and truly, what are we doing again with this? And I just can't believe that yet again we're facing this kind of crisis for, in my opinion, no reason at all. In addition to that, we've now got talk about something that's looking very similar to the pandemic, which it first started off talking about bats. Now we've got people talking about rats with this cruise ship and rats carrying a particular type of virus, and the scaremongering is already starting. And I have a feeling we could be looking at another pandemic. Now, maybe it won't come to that, I don't know. But it's looking very similar. So with a war, with a lot of countries already in economic crisis, with the benefit systems drained unbelievably, with mass migration and oil shortages, food shortages, and now talk of another virus that could be deadly. Look, maybe that's not going to transpire about this rat virus, but it's sounding very similar to me to the rumblings that we heard early on with the bats and the virus with the bats. I mean, are we heading for another pandemic type circumstance where we've got shortages and lockdowns and I don't know. But what I do know is that the people running the world globally is highly problematic. You know, it's no accident that we just constantly keep having these kinds of decisions made that are not in the interest of normal, ordinary people. And we really have to stop talking about left and right. There is no left and right. Yes, there are talking points that are more left-wing and talking points that are more right-wing. And yes, they argue amongst themselves politically on talking points that one agrees with this more than the other. But ultimately, when it comes to major things like war, the Epstein files, pandemics, the global banks, digital currency, open borders, it's just a uni party. They're just all the same. They might argue this and that, you know, moving an inch this way and an inch that way, but none of it is ever in the interest of the ordinary person, ever. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because what I really want to talk about is cluster B personality disorder. And for people that know anything about this, they will know that under that umbrella, two of the personality disorders, as they label them, are narcissistic personality disorder and psychopaths, which they now refer to as antisocial personality disorder, which I find absolutely ridiculous, because antisocial is a huge umbrella. You know, to call a psychopath antisocial, to me, is just wrapping it in cotton wool. So for the purposes of what I'm talking about, I'm not calling it that, but that is the medical term for it now. So narcissistic personality disorder, which is NPD, and psychopaths. And as somebody who knew nothing about this really 10 years ago, but has done extensive research over the last decade into this, and by the way, I'm not a medical profession. These are all I'm not in the medical profession at all. These are just purely my opinions, but I have studied this and researched this extensively from the medical profession, experts, and also just my own personal experience of this narcissistic personality disorder, having discovered it really 10 years ago, not having known what it was, didn't even really know what a narcissist was, to then fully understanding it clearly. And I'm not just talking about the fact that somebody you don't like, you call them a narcissist, or somebody you don't agree with, you call them a psychopath. You know, these words now are just used in this weird flippant manner of anybody that's a bit vain or a bit selfish or a bit of an idiot or annoying. They're just labelled narcissist. That's completely wrong. They're not. Narcissistic personality disorder is a very particular disorder which is actually fully formed as a child. It's a very, very serious disorder, and it is not applicable to just anybody that's a bit vain, a bit selfish, a bit loud, a bit annoying, or somebody you don't like. But what they've done is they've filtered it so much now into the language that you just see the word everywhere. Everyone just calls everybody a narcissist if they don't like them or don't get on with them. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the true meaning of narcissist. And anyone who's ever encountered this, looked into this, been a victim of this, and actually understands it fully in the correct manner will relate to what I'm saying. That there is a disproportionate amount of narcissists and psychopaths in control globally. Now, that might sound like some kind of weird conspiracy theory, but actually it's not. There's a mountain of evidence that that is true. Now, am I saying that everybody in power is a narcissist or a psychopath? No, but a lot of them are. And I think we really have to stop thinking about left and right and whether we like Donald Trump or we like Keir Starmer, and start looking at where are all the empathic, normal, grounded, common sense, mentally healthy people that actually care about their own citizens, that actually care about human life, that actually care about people. Where are they? Because they are the ones that need to be in control. You know, you honestly think that all these people in the Epstein class are all empathic, kind, warm individuals? No, that's just not possible. It's just not possible. You think all these politicians screaming for war, bombing civilians, are all empathic, kind, loving individuals? No. I want to talk more about narcissistic personality disorder, and if you've been affected by this, please comment in the video. Thank you.